Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satchiguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Yesterday was Monday, today's Tuesday. We have seen the attitude. Once you know something you really appreciate and honor, and then that knowledge must be translated as love, devotion, appreciation. And then the bottom line is, if we are completely ignorant of Ishvara, we will never have the transformational attitude in respect to what? To the world. Because we already have determined that the world is Ishvara. If we don't understand properly Ishvara in all its nuance, and then this transformational attitude is going to prevent us from being an enjoyer, being a devotee of the Lord. And it's Ishvara, the knowledge will give you humility as well. But if you don't know Ishvara, that will lead to vanity, pride, and arrogance, which is the characteristic of the Mr. Ego. It's intrinsic to the sense of doership. It's not only vanity, but shame. They experience, vanity and shame. Yeah? The second advantage of properly having this knowledge of Ishvara, which is equally important, is that you are not going to feel competitive and jealous anymore. I will never compare myself with anybody else because I have resolved myself and somebody else in Ishvara as Ishvara, So you see, the resolution of the ego, a lot of people want to resolve the ego in Brahman, but the resolution of the ego is to pass by the stage, by which you resolve in Ishvara the ego. Understand? I understand the system that ultimately Ishvara is there processing, and returning to us our paravadas, and then processing our response, and then again presenting us. We have a certain power to interact with the world in a way that it produces a certain spiritual growth, elevation. But we don't have the power to determine exactly what's going to be my destiny, because, meteor may disappear from a moment to another. At least life in this planet can go through another extinction event. And then our process interrupted. That is the third shanti, the third shanti. But all these factors and potential events that we know that they may be there, but we have no idea when they are coming, if they are coming. So there are many advantages. One of them is you are free from competition and enviness or envy,
yeah.
Envy, jealousy, sense of superiority, inferiority. So the same way all water belongs to the same source, all jivas belong to Ishvara. Is Ishvara. So wherever I see any glory in the world, And if this glory, which is better understood as if I see certain virtues being expressed through my body-mind, I have to remember that whatsoever virtue belongs to Ishvara as well as my flaws and defects.
Yeah.
But that is so subtle that it does not freeze, it does not allow us to fall into fatalism and not take responsibility for our flaws and limitations. You understand? It's very fine because we have the two factors playing all the time. Ishvara providing the destiny, which is better understood as one's prarabdha, karma, moment from moment prarabdha. Yet at the same time, on the other hand, I have my actions that are impacting, hopefully positively for the future prarabdhas, and this is a very complex equation. So I see my defects and virtues as Ishvara, but I never forget the degree of responsibility I have in regards to my virtues and my defects and flaws, okay? Because virtues, from the standpoint of spiritual growth, requires good discrimination of mind, presenting good response to the field and presenting with a proper attitude. Thank you for the opportunity. So we have the power to impact positively future prarabdhas, but we don't know when, And there are so many jivas putting in many millions, trillions, quadrillions of actions into the system, and Ishvara is there with his supreme precise intelligence, providing everybody its prarabdhas, We don't know how it's going to be. Oh, am I going to get my self-knowledge moksha? How long it's going to take? We don't know. Am I going to purify so that Ishvara does not push me back down here again? We don't know. Ishvara will tell. If we die, if we are born again and we open our eyes and we have that feeling, oh shoot, not again, it means that we did not complete our journey. So at least that's how I see things. In fact, this should be read at the end, which is the swing up line. But anyway, Krishna gives it here. Okay, something that Krishna is going to bring now, which according to some Paramarthananda, he could have waited. The primal cause, the basic cause, we use the word primal cause because the cause can be divided in two types. One is the initial, primary, and intermediary cause, or relative cause. So we have the absolute cause, which is the absolute Brahman. And then we have the relative cause, which is Maya. We could put it that way as well. So we have the absolute and we have Maya in between. We say that the causeless cause of the universe is Brahman, because without Brahman, Maya can not superimpose anything on anything. We need the Adhisthana. But on the other hand, Brahman being absolutely changeless and actionless, he cannot really do anything. So we understand that Maya does so under the blessings of Brahman, allowing the superimposition to take place. And then Swami brings the logic that the parents produce the children becomes the cause of their children. And my father was the cause of myself, but he was the effect of my grandfather as well. So as we know, there is no absolute cause except Brahman, okay? Brahman is the end. So it's the cause that was not caused by anything. It's beyond causality because it's one without a second. Brahman is the absolute primal cause of the universe. It calls everything without doing anything. Therefore, it's a causeless cause as well. Okay, causeless cause of the creation. Krishna says, Sanatanam, which does not have a beginning. It's anadi. It's a cause without a beginning. It's beginningless cause. It's very, very difficult concept to really wrap our intellect around. It's a cause. It does not have any beginning. It does not do anything, and it does not change itself to transform, to be transformed into the world, because it is nirvikara as well. Therefore, it's better never to ask those questions. How Brahman calls the universe. What's the cause of God? Because that comes to the mind. When we think of any cause, we come to know that the cause has got other cause. So okay, if Brahman is the ultimate, the absolute, the true cause, so what has caused Brahman? What has brought Brahman into place? And then we say, no, it's beginningless, one without a second Brahman, you know. And the mind has no way to really wrap these concepts, you know, in a really comforting, pacifying way, unless understanding the fine declarations of Vedanta, which is you can indeed know that you are Brahman, but you will never know what is Brahman. We have seen that in the canon. And how Brahman is self-contained with conscious existence. Therefore, Krishna says, I am the eternal cause, I am the causeless cause of creation. Hari Om. Next verse, next class. As we know, the chapter 7 goes about describing the nature of Ishvara, saguna, nirguna nature, meaning to say superior and inferior nature, meaning to say para and the para prakriti, meaning to say sentience, you know, and insentience, okay? Chetana and achetana. Now, it is consciousness, the very source of consciousness, and then matter, spirit and matter. And the universe of matter / energy rests and resolves back into this conscious principle, you know, Chetana. So while we study this aspect of God with the cause of the universe, we have to remember the very important law. The law is very simple. If you have something cause, some byproducts or some effects, especially in its substantial nature, okay? So the effects, they must have the same composition of its cause. So it's very simple. We have in the world of metallurgy that I studied in the college. So you have alloys, you have composition of several minerals and so on, and then you bring it to the oven, and then you make a lot of that, and then all the byproducts, they are going to have exactly the same composition. All them. So likewise, we have consciousness, we see consciousness, which is the only reality. This infinite, these numberless nama-rupas, they share the same nature as consciousness, because, you know, the nama-rupas are apparent superimposition, apparent projection, apparent configurations. It's apparent. Why? Why we say it's an appearance in consciousness? Because it appears and disappears in a flux of continuous change. You cannot take something that appears, disappears in an always changing manner. You cannot define that as reality. This is metaphysically the definition of reality, that which is always present, never subject to change. So the consciousness of the observer of this crazy world is the only reality. Consciousness is the true nature of the world, and any and all namarupas, they share the same nature. That's why we say we are the same nature of Jagata, and we are of the same nature of Ishvara. We all share the same nature in Paramatma, so in Nirguna Atma. So we are configuration of gunas. We are Saguna, body, mind, sense complex. Shvara is Saguna, pure Sattva guna, you know. The world is a configuration of the three gunas, but to the physical inert material, but with very little Sattva guna. Therefore, the three does not discriminate and study the Vedas, okay? It does not have enough Sattva guna. So the features of the cause inherit the effects. The same way, the same composition of gold has the same inherent nature on all ornaments of that that black block or lump of gold. Okay. This is not in the case of the regular products that we make, even when we study the children. We find the character of the parents inherit the children. No, he says, even when we look in terms of genetics, we see that somehow this is a very interesting topic. We say that the configuration, the nature of the children somehow are influenced by the nature, the genetic nature of the fathers and mother, you know, the genetics. So one or the other, father, mother is going to influence more in terms of health, in terms of intelligence, in terms of physicality and energy. So if you have a mother and a father extremely lazy and tamasic, it's difficult to imagine that a very active, creative, rajasic person is going to come out. But as we say, in a more superficial level, we are a byproduct of genetics and environment. So the genetics, which is from the standpoint of spirituality, is past life or vasana load. We come from vasana, and then we bring our load of vasanas here, or in another language, our genetic disposition or our mental disposition, and then the environment is going to further influence whatsoever material brought with me. And not only we are a byproduct, in general, people in these spiritual circles around, the people on the line of the direct paths, they sometimes they explore this concept, but we are byproduct of genetic and environment. But what is the third element in there? So we are byproduct of the tendencies, predispositions we bring with us, and then the environment. And then there is our free will playing as well, you know, our ability to discern and discriminate and fight against those dispositions that are against their obstacle. They are just blocking my growth, my spiritual purification, and so on. So we have all these elements in there. But the question, which goes a little bit, we are a byproduct of past life, vasanas or genetics, plus my culture, my environment, and my discrimination, my ability to reshape my subconscious mind and my conscious mind, educating, cultivating new vasana, new tendencies. When I say that there are several elements playing, and we can also have a more profound understanding that genetic and culture and our ability to redirect our lives is already determined by karma. You understand? So karma is going to produce us an environment, it's going to produce a body, mind, sense complex, an environment which is custom designed to my vasana load. Okay? So I have my vasanas, and then Ishvara is going to get us, putting us in a time and a space, circumstance, so and so, with a body, mind, piece of equipment that we have, so that we can process punya papa, or process our karma, hoping evolve spiritually. So fundamentally, karma is behind it. We can say we are not a product of genetics and culture. We are a product of karma, because Shvara throws us here. But then we can never neglect our free will and the power we have to, howsoever the circumstance, to turn the direction of our lives. Okay. Since Ishvara is a mixture of Chetana and Chetana, Tattva, the universe is also a mixture of this conscious principle and the inert principle. So we have, everything physically, fundamentally, is inert. But the body-mind is conscious, yeah, but it does not have a sentience which is self-contained in the body-mind. The body-mind is inert. It's just consciousness that has somehow affinity with complex organisms, and then it shines as reflected consciousness. So we own our sentience, or our consciousness, to Brahman, the only conscious principle. Some other configurations, such as the trees, they are not mobile, but they are sentient beings, but a little more rudimentary kind of sentience. And then we have some rocks and clays and inert minerals that they still have Brahman there as Sat, the existence, the only source non-dual existence, but they don't have the Chit aspect of Brahman, which is consciousness, translate as human sentience or Jiva sentience, because the ants are sentient as well. Everything belongs to me and me alone, says Krishna. I am the essence, the sṛeṣtaḥ of the creation. Krishna wants total transformation. What is sṛeṣtaḥ? Sṛeṣtaḥ?
So, I don't know. Might be out of stone.
At the very top of page 1436. Everything ultimately belongs to me alone, because I am the essence, the sṛeṣtaḥ. Maybe it's the essence, the sṛeṣtaḥ of the creation.
Yeah, I would think it's like at a stone base, which creation.
Krishna, huh?
It's essence as, the basis, yes.
The basis, okay. Sṛeṣtaḥ is the basis, okay. Thank you. Krishna wants the total transformation should take place in the mind of Arjuna as well in our mind. So thereafter, when we look at the creation, we do not look at the world of Namarupas, but we look at it as the manifestation of Chetana, Achetana, Ishvara. So it's a mixture of both. So we see everything is Ishvara, everything is Brahman manifest as Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti. And the funny thing is that it's not that the manifestation of human sentience exists without the manifestation of the Chetana physical body. Understand? So the sentience requires a physical and a subtle, apparatus, which is made out of matter, subtle and dense matter, to produce this human consciousness. So it's really mixed up in the case of human jivas, Really,
The two come together.
they come together because consciousness shines in body, mind, sense complex of those more complex organisms, such as human beings in this planet. So Swami said in the last class that Krishna is preparing us for the topic, Visvarupa Darshana of Ishvara, gradually but surely. The combination of this bhakti, this devotional section here, is seeing Ishvara as the entire manifestation, because you see the superior nature behind the inferior nature, the conscious nature behind the inert nature, the intelligent nature behind insentient matter and insentient energy. Here, Krishna makes a small difference when we say the whole creation is the manifestation of the Lord. We know that only the powerful things are the manifestation of the Lord. Okay, so here he's bringing up another topic. Let me turn this audio to this here, it helps.
I said not only the wonderful things.
Yeah, so he's bringing this subject that it's going to be profoundly explored in the next chapter, chapter 8, 9. So because in order for us to get this total view of Ishvara, we need to accept also the horrible things, what we call horrible things, Ishvara is not the wonderful things. Ishvara are also the terrible things. Also are ultimate, the entire manifestation. So Krishna is very diplomatic and very skillfully suppressing the negative aspect. Right now, he's claiming only the glorious aspects of God, And every religion does so, including the Vedas, We need to attract the students within this relationship with God, presenting God as this glorious, compassionate, and auspicious, loving principle, God is love, God is love, God is love. And how about God is hate? God is destruction, not only creation, but destruction. Is God responsible for creation? Yes, of course. It's built into this appearing projection. Something unhealed cannot be eternal. Anything that is eternal is reality, is one of the aspects of what we can call reality. Reality is always present. But anything that is subject to time cannot be really reality. So is he responsible for time and destruction? Yes, of course. It's built into the mithya nature of things, appear and disappear. They are born and they die. So he's definitely responsible for all of that, or Maya, you know. It's in the nature of creation, and it seems to be a good thing, huh? Imagine if things would remain permanently present, because then we would have to break it down to certain moments in our lives. Oh, you know, I want to meditate, and then if I get into a beautiful samadhi, I want Ishvara to come and freeze it. For the rest of my life, I want to be in that state. It's going to be boring.
It would, yeah. There'd be no hurry though.
You know, I'm experiencing such a punya now, and freeze it, Ishvara, okay? Make it reality, meaning to say, no change is allowed, okay? And then it's going to be a huge source of boredom, you know? So the bottom line here is that God is responsible for destruction, but there is something that God is not responsible for. What? Let's see if Mark knows. He jumped into the kitchen to begin warming up our lunch because we're gonna have to eat and go. And I'm gonna talk to Sylvia, and possibly we can make it a try. If you feel it pleases you, we could make it a try to do classes 3 hours later, let's say.
Later is fine with me. Earlier is a little challenging, but later is fine.
We can give it a try. You would prefer later, so we can do it
Never.
try
Yeah.
3 hours later to see how it goes. Because it seems Sylvia would like it that way. But then Sylvia, after lunch, she tends to fall asleep, huh, Sylvia?
No, it's like that. Mark would be very good for him to have it at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So Lynn is okay to have it at 10. And you have an employee that leaves 11:30, you can take care of him and have an early lunch like at 12 o'clock, like me.
Yeah.
By 2 o'clock is already maybe
Okay, Mark is back here. We can go back to the text, and I'm gonna talk to Mark, and then we may do a try next Friday. Can you say hi, Lynn?
I'm here.
Okay. So the Lord is he's not only the wonderful things, he just produced the world, shaping it up from moment to moment in accordance with the macrocosm collective body of vastness of the cosmos, of the universe. Okay, so is Ishvara responsible for destruction? Yes, it's in the nature of my Ishvara to create, sustain, and destroy. Is Ishvara responsible for everything? No, not everything. There is something Ishvara is not responsible for, and that is human suffering. Okay? Ishvara is not responsible for human suffering. Ishvara is not responsible for cruelty, injustice, and pain, and grief. Okay? All the suffering comes from human jivas, the only creatures we know in this planet with intelligent intellect, capable of discriminating, choosing things on a conscious level. The poor exercise of this intellect is conducive to violation of dharma. Violation of dharma causes tremendous suffering, what we call samsara. Ishvara is not responsible because people say so, and then Ishvara is responsible for suffering. No. Cruelty, injustice, suffering we see in the world is a parabada of all the jiva. The jivas are responsible for all of that. Okay. Ishvara just gives us the stage and gives us the free will, and then we have to interact with the world, navigating this crazy world at this time. using our faculty, intellectual faculty, to grow into more and more, purity of discrimination and so on, so that we don't cause suffering for us and for others. Because, people who suffer too much, they subconsciously, they like to cause suffering to others as well.
Yeah.
Shraddha is not all the wonderful, beautiful things. Shraddha is also death and destruction, but in the beginning, the Vedas do not present, and the other religious philosophies do not present ever Ishvara as the destructing power. And it remains everything remains very confusing. Why there is so much suffering and pain and grief in this world if God is only love,
Yeah.
And Swami says the logic of the Vedas and many other religions is that if Veda tells you the truth, it's going to be difficult for you to be interested in God to the extent of developing devotion. Devotion is going to further. Devotion is the most important element to naturally purify the body, mind, sense complex. So it's better you don't know the entire truth until you develop this sense of devotion, and then that is going to bring about refinement, purification, and maturity. And then Krishna is going to say later on, and I destroy and devour everything as well. You understand? It's all me. But then you have the strength to face God as the destroyer as well, without losing your shraddha, and your faith and your devotion to God. Later on, he's going to claim all the negative things as well, but not human suffering. Human suffering is a byproduct of Jiva's poor exercise of this gift called human intelligence or free will. So in the beginning, until we develop more maturity, we learn to look only at the beautiful, glorious, positive side of God. But once we have sufficient maturity, we will be able to expand our understanding, get in contact with the totality of all opposite pairs, sustaining this cosmos, this meteor reality, apparent reality, which all of those things that we don't like, we don't like. We don't like the death of the physical body. We don't like to see the body become older and weaker and sicker. We don't like those things, but still, it's okay. I accept that because I'm going to go to heaven and there I'm going to live eternally. So our scriptures say that's not the case. You may take a vacation, one of these local resorts, but you're going to be sent back here to produce more punya and more understanding. All of that requires great maturity. And the beauty is once you are sufficiently mature, it will find that what looked upon a part of creation is negative, really speaking, is not negative. It's also as beautiful, as required as the positive things. In fact, they are not opposed to each other. They are complementary pairs. There is no good without evil. The dharma is such that the good and evil should be always balancing themselves, because one sustains the other. The problem is when the evil dominates the dharma to a certain extent that this stage becomes no longer, how you say, no longer conducive to spiritual growth. Just imagine, I was watching, I shared with I was watching a movie the other day. I like to look for some crazy movies. And then in the end of the movies, they come with the description, say, this movie is dedicated to the 500 million children, Lynn, 500 million children around the world that lives in those conditions, living in war zones, such as in Palestine and so on, and in where everything is so aggressively terrible, you know, it's so much pain and suffering that the children, they develop an ability to live in their own mind, in their own world. They go a little bit crazy, but they protect themselves. And the movie was about that. Everybody was dying about these children, and then it remains only the brother and the sister, and they die, but they die totally crazy as a defense system against a reality which is unhuman and unbearable. Just imagine 500 million children around the world living in this condition, you know?
Yeah, that's the seed of the future. This will, you know, give that larger karma a different fragrance, you know.
I did not quite understand what you meant by that. Would you like to elaborate a little bit more? Or say it in other words?
It's just that all of this suffering that is imposed by adharmic minds will birth more suffering. It's like cause and effect. The suffering that is imposed will keep on magnifying in the next generation.
We, according to our scriptures, we should take adversities, even extreme suffering and pain, such as these children live in those conditions. We should talk that as well as karma, or see it in the perspective of karma and the opportunity that we all have to exhaust Papa. You understand? So whosoever comes here with such a heavy karma and to go through so much suffering, so it comforts our minds to believe, and that's what our scriptures say, that you are at least exhausting some debts you have, you know, some papa karma. And then you purify, because through suffering there is already a certain degree of purification, you understand? But the problem is the people who inflict this kind of torture to other beings, those, you know, I don't know if they even come back as human beings.
Yeah, yeah. And it helps to really appreciate the omniscience of Ishvara that will, as you so beautifully said earlier, it just distributes this infinite complexity in perfect, appropriate order. Everything is proper. Yeah.
Exactly. In fact, they are not opposed. The evil is not opposed to the good. They are complementary pairs. One is sustained by the other. And my understanding again is that when things go too much off balance, and then we need certain Arjunas to come and fight to reestablish Dharma. If we don't have enough Arjunas fighting to reestablish Dharma, there is a potential for self-destruction, which is Ishvara destroying a civilization, you know, because they see that it's too far gone, so to speak. And we know life sprouts back again in this planet, and who knows in other place. Okay, we cannot love one side and hate the other side. This is sign of immaturity. We see the birth of a child as something very glorious and beautiful, auspicious. And then death, we see something inauspicious, you know. So we want birth, but no death. And My first guru used to have a good insight into death. He used to make a big part every time one of his disciples would die in his ashram. He used to say, you need to celebrate the birth and the deaths, you know. And then we had to celebrate when he died as well. And so mind needs to become mature to look at things objectively and accept. You see, there is a famous saying or sentence that says, give me force and discrimination to accept what I cannot change, you know, from that which I have to accept fully, you know. And the discrimination mostly is so that I can discriminate between both, what I can do something to change and what I cannot do, you know. In the world in which we live, you know, there is so much madness, and we feel like there must be something we can do to make this planet a better place to live, you know. And but sometimes we have to say, well, maybe the best way, like Sylvia says, is to keep doing our spiritual work, because every human being being transformed by this spiritual wisdom is a small light in a very dark world, you know? So maybe that's the best way to go.
That's the serenity prayer you were talking about, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The goal is to come to a full understand that all opposite pairs put together, everything is Brahman, Bhagwan, or Ishvara. Huh? There is no question of good and bad. There are only complementary pairs in the creation, and that is the ultimate Visvarupa Darshana. And these opposite pairs as well that we see, they are not really good and bad. Of course, there is human suffering involved, you know, but when we have an experience of something, you know, here and there, which is not extremely good or extremely bad, yet our mind is going to project value and project, you know, negative value. I love it, I like it, or I hate it, you know. We project value upon a world which fundamentally is just matter and energy. It's just the elements playing, you know. So, and equanimity or vairagya is to come to understanding that this is all Ishvara, and Ishvara is manifest as the gunas and the elements, you know, sprouting from the gunas and all the configurations of objects. And then we learn to begin taking it to the best of our human possibility as it comes, you know, without saying it's positive because I love it. We have to ask, why do I love it? Well, we love it. Why we love things? This is a good question. Why we love things? Sylvia, why? Oh, Sylvia or whosoever, why we love things? We love things. We love.
Makes us happy.
Huh?
Makes us happy.
Yeah, because it makes us happy. Exactly. We love things because it matches my likes and dislikes. Okay? It's in conformity with my likes and dislikes. But the whole idea is not to try to attract things that are in conformity with your likes and dislikes, because we don't have control over Parabhada. The whole idea is to develop vairagya, or in another word, equanimity. And the likes and dislikes, they slowly but surely, they begin developing to become some preference, but without much of a charge, emotional charge to it. So one begins living more like a conscious witnessing principle, experiencing the world without being subject to too much emotional turbulence due to attraction and repulsion, and so on. So we call things negative when they don't fit with our likes. They fit with our hate. And then we find this is very negative. But the same thing that's negative for me may be positive for Mark, for example. So go and figure, you know?
Yeah.
Thank you for coming back with your You appeared again back on the screen here.
Okay. I was thinking when we love something, it's like it's a moment of no boundary. It's almost you're out of time, and it's just it's a reflection of your nature, your swarupa.
Yeah, that is another angle to look into the ananda, or the small happiness or satisfactions we get when we gain what we want. You know, when things are totally, oh no, I want so much, now I got it, okay? And then we have a certain happiness, which is a reflection of our ananda nature, but it is extremely short-lived, because immediate the mind is going to produce another desired object, and it's going to destroy the moment of happiness. You understand? So that the ananda we gain through the satisfaction, the peace we gain from having success and obtaining what we want, is the poorest possible ananda, you know. But I tend to say that it's better than, it's superior to the ananda we gain from deep sleep, because at least the ananda we gain from being success in obtaining what we want can lead us to the understand that no matter how much success I have in obtaining what I want, that is not going to produce lasting satisfaction. It's always very fleeting, you know, and then one turns to self-investigation and so on.
And that ananda from knowledge, that kind of stays. That's
the whole goal.
Yeah.
And this is a lovely, most profound conversation that appears towards the end of the Gita, which is called the ananda obtained by knowledge, as opposed to ananda obtained by experience, and the difference. And beautiful knowledge to see, you know, how the jnana, I would say it's not jnana pala or jnana knowledge. I forgot the expression they use there. Jnana ananda, like jnana ananda, something like that. It's ananda derived from a knowledge in respect to your limitless nature. And it has a certain element of experience, because you experience the world differently from that level of understanding.
And
but it is an ananda that does not depend on the element of experience. You know, the ananda is knowledge. The experience is an experience. The experience, it fluctuates. Even when you go deep sleep, your experience of happiness by being grateful and in contact with the world, knowing that the world is Brahman and Brahman alone, in deep sleep it goes. When you awake, and then you remember, oh, okay, you know, but the ananda, knowledge, remains. The ananda is still subject to variation, arrival and departure. You know, this yanananda, ananda by the gain of knowledge, not by gain of any accomplishment in the world, such as gaining things, people, and circumstance. So the fluctuation is minimal, but there is a certain fluctuation, a certain I would say stability, because the knowledge is stable, the experience is variable, but you are holding on as aham brahmasmi, you know, the knowledge is there, and then again and again it somehow works to to produce. It's like the ships. They don't turn in the ocean. They find stability because they have a lastro. You know, I would say. I worked in a factory of ships. You know, they have a certain weight that they put on the bottom.
Ew, yeah.
Okay, they put more weight or less weight depending on the cargo.
Yeah.
You know, the weight they carry, and then that gives you stability. You know, to go through the ocean with you know, difficult weather and so on. So this self-knowledge gives you stability because the ocean of samsara, you know, is the mithya, circumstance of the world may be very unstable, very shaky, you know, but this knowledge is going to give stability to the ship, you know, to the experience. Swami brings here not the verse, he's revising verse 10, huh? Is that?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's from the... I am intelligence, the intelligence people. You should not talk about dullness in the dull people because we are not prepared to hear that. You do not want to talk about that. That's the way it matured to come. Meanwhile, you know, I am the seed of the entire creation. The verse 11, O Arjuna, of the strong I am the strength which is free from desire and attachment. In all beings, I am the desire which not opposed to them. This is a very famous verse that requires a beautiful satsang on the nature of desire. You understand? Because we cannot live without having desires. If you don't have this power to go and do and you know, respond to the stimulus coming from dharma field, it means we will not be able to live our lives. But our desires have to be in total harmony, you know, absolutely harmonized with the laws and principles of the Creator. I am the strong. Of the strong, I am the strength which is free from desire and attachment. So it's very profound because we think in general in this world that the strong is the one who is moved by desire and has such a power that he's a goal-getter. He always accomplished whatsoever they desire, you know, and this big corporation, they look for people who are goal-getters. They are very strong-minded, you know. And here it said that of the strong, I'm the strength of that which is free from desire and much less attachment to the results of one's actions, you know. Totally different angle of understanding, you know. In all beings, I am the desire which is not opposed to dharma. So we leave it for tomorrow. Tomorrow, no, Friday, no? And I will talk, possibly we'll do it in the afternoon here, meaning to say 3 hours late to give it a try. Okay? Namaste. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. See you soon. Bye-bye. Much love.